most likely going to barrel into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. On and off showers, thunderstorms, some flash flooding, big rip currents, and some storm surge. 3 to 4 feet is what the forecast is at now. We'll go well into detail about this in a great segment we have coming up with Mark Southern right after.
At Richards Honda, we're so excited about the big summer event going on now. Our selection is bigger than ever before, with huge savings on all of it. And right now, you can lease a new HR-V for just $259 a month for 36 months, all with our transparent pricing. Don't miss the Richards Honda big summer event happening now.
If you're thinking about buying a car, give Richards Honda a try. We have the car you want at the deal you can afford. I-12 Millerville Road or richardshonda.com.
Hurricane of 1926 here in downtown Miami. The great storm had moved on by the afternoon of September 18th. A photographer stood right about there and captured the scene. Bayfront Park was littered with ships of all shapes and sizes. In the distance, Miami's original Grand Hotel, Royal Palm, stood but was damaged and never recovered. The ornate Ingram building was under construction. It opened in 1927 and survived to this day. Miami's Hotel Row was wounded. Windows of the McAllister Hotel blew out. The building was used as a hospital after the storm. The Columbus next door lost part of its top floors as the wind ripped through the Grand Everglades Hotel there on the far right. It was the second half of the giant hurricane that pushed Biscayne Bay 10 or 11 feet above normal high tide. It was a pivotal event in the history of Miami and all of South Florida. Fox weather for all seasons, for all America.
All right, Fox Weather is your Hurricane HQ. I threw the visible satellite from a little bit earlier from what is now Tropical Storm Bertha, along with some, we call it MSLP lines. It's basically lines of constant pressure at the surface. And if you recall, at points over the last few days I've been talking about, we're starting to look for the bullseye thing to develop on there, indicating lower pressure. And you can see that's certainly been the case through today. Hurricane hunters found enough to call this a tropical storm. Let's bring in a man that knows hurricanes and tropical storms very well. Mark Suddeth, out in the west today. You're out, near Moab as opposed to Wilmington, where you're usually at?
Moab, Utah. The monsoon's trying to tease me out here a little bit. Also doing some hiking, getting in good shape for what's coming. But we got Bertha. You know what, Ari? 30 years ago, I was in Hurricane Bertha, July 12th, 1996. Hard to believe that's been 3 decades.
I was just talking to Chris behind the scenes a little bit, and for some reason, I feel like I've seen a lot of Berthas throughout my career.
I know, right?
It's been a
Didn't
couple
get
of them.
retired.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like early in the season, you'd have a smaller chance of having a storm retired, and so we're early in the alphabet, etc. Man, this has been an interesting one. So you see a lot of meteorologists. They post the visible satellite of this, and they say, "Meh, look how cruddy this storm looks." Now, yes, meteorologically speaking, correct. You've got a exposed center. It's a lopsided storm. A lot of the storm's just on the south side of it. But man, does that look cool, especially on the high-resolution satellite, doesn't it?
It does, and the tools that we have now to be able to see these things at the resolution that we're looking at now is remarkable. And we're lucky because the other day the GOES 19 had a little bit of a hiccup. We were kind of worried that there might be some transmission issues. We got it back, and now we can see down into the depths of this thing, the mechanics of it. I mean, it's great to have the hurricane hunters, yeah, but I mean, almost who needs them? And I'm just kidding here, but when you can see this kind of detail, that is incredible.
Well, that's next time we have you on the show, we'll have the hurricane hunters on as well. We'll play the clip back for them.
Point and counterpoint, right?
That's right, exactly. So here's what I wanted to ask you. I know you follow a lot of these storms, and this is something, Chris and I were looking at this a lot last night, trying to figure out, is this convection wrapping around the center? Last night it was tough to even really find a center, but you keep hearing, you're looking for a closed low, you're looking for 39 miles per hour, and you're looking for convection wrapping around the center. Now, to me, I'm not seeing convection wrapping around the center of this. Like, how do they call it a tropical storm from just the wind, or is that actually just the definition? Do you not have to actually have the storm wrapped around the center?
Yeah, you don't have to have it all the way around the center in some type of eye wall fashion. It's got good banding, and it has been persistent. It hasn't just come up and gone down again, but it's not very well organized, as we can clearly see. However, all that being said, there are hazards, there are impacts from this. Millions of people live along the coastline down there, so it does matter, and it is not being overblown. It is there. It's a tropical storm. It's over very warm water. There's going to be rain. There's going to be onshore flow, some storm surge. So the word is impact, or impacts plural here. There will be plenty of those.
Let's go through some of those. Am I wrong to assume that the storm surge is going to be the biggest impact? I know we're going to get some of the streamers that will come ashore, even though the heaviest of the rain stays on the south side of it. I mentioned this last night. It's very important to me not to overhype the system, because I want people to take the real ones seriously. Like, how bad is this storm surge going to be? I keep seeing 3 to 4 feet. Like, put that in perspective for somebody that's never been down in that part of the country.
Yeah, they call it life-threatening storm surge from the National Hurricane Center suite of products. And that onshore flow, especially as this closes in toward the Mississippi Sound and vicinity Mobile Bay and points west, it's easy to push that water higher. And there's a lot of people down there, still the heart of summer, and it's easy to push that surge in. You got some waves on top of that, and for people that are not used to it, it could cause problems. And another thing is rip currents. Rip currents kill people too. All of that is part of all of this. Just because it's not a hurricane, that H word, that doesn't matter. This is bigger than we are. The storm is. So look at it that way and prepare accordingly. Just be smart about it.
So explain how storm surge works with the tides. Is this going to be one of these situations where, like, there's going to be a lot of water where it's not supposed to be, mainly during the high tides, or is it going to be around for an extended period of time? Because this is a slow-moving storm system, where normally when I see a slow-moving storm, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a lot of flash flooding, but with this unique situation with the heaviest of the rain on the south side of it, we know that storm surge depends not only on how strong the wind is, but also the duration of it. So the long duration event, do you think we might be underestimating the storm surge?
Bayou 11, taxi to and hold short of runway 29er using taxiway Delta Bravo cross runway 29er Alpha Charlie. Contact tower on 119er decimal 5 when ready.
The range is not real high, so it's not going to matter.
Taxi 2 and hold short runway 29er using taxiway Delta Bravo cross runway 29er Alpha Charlie.
Or even Mobile and Gulf Shores, that area. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of an increase in the overall surge, but that's mainly right along the coast, obviously, and we want boaters to be aware. Lots of activity still down there with summer vacationers. We just want people to pay attention. Be smart, be aware, so you can come back and watch Fox Weather later.
Exactly. Well put. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, now, this model, Sam, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's one of the halves models. Last night we were using a graph model. You know, some wind gusts, 30 to 40 miles per hour as this thing rolls by. I mean, honestly, like, Mark, when I look at this, I see that it's raking the coast like this, like right offshore. Mm-hmm. And usually, to me, that just tips something off that this will be some kind of reasonably decent impact type of event. Now, luckily, it's not going to get terribly strong, but, like, yeah, I mean, I think you've said it. I mean, we can beat a dead horse here, but the storm surge is going to be quite an impact. Maybe this forecast model a touch on the aggressive side, at least compared to some of the other ones. The Euro, as I was just showing, really not showing too much. It shows it kind of dying down very quickly.
Yeah, it's battling climatology. We're still in mid-July, basically, almost to the back third. Dry air, the northerly shear, a lot of things going against it, but it does have very warm water to work with. We do have a circulation down there, the onshore flow, and anywhere that pushes in right onshore, and people who live there, they know this, and for them it'll be a nuisance, but what we're worried about are the tourists, people that are coming down from the interior parts of the southeast, they're trying to vacation, have a good time, they might not be used to it, they might not be ready. Your boat could capsize, again, the water could be rough. Just pay attention. Look it up, ask questions, be selfish about it. How will this affect me, my family, and people should be just fine.
That's some really great perspective, honestly, because I mean, I'm always trying to, like, hone in on what is the way to tell this story, what's the most important thing, and I never really thought of that because, you know, I don't want to be condescending to the people that live down along the coast and be like, hey, this is 3 feet of storm surge, this is going to be a huge deal. But you make a great point about the tourists that are coming down. It's good to pay attention to this. Hey, let's I was going to talk the Wisconsin severe with you, but we're running a little low on time. I want to hit this upcoming chance for some flooding that we have in the Carolinas, along with some severe storms. Now, tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to have severe storms up in the Northeast. I'll have a lot more on that coming up in the show. Right. And then, as is usually the case, it's like day 3 of the event, kind of wraps up over here in parts of the Carolinas and Virginia.
My neck of the woods.
That's right. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about this. Severe weather threat, level 2 risk. How are you looking at this threat, severe weather compared to flooding? How big of a deal is it going to be?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I fly back on the red-eye tomorrow night. So I'm supposed to fly from Denver to Charlotte. So I'm kind of watching all this closely, plus the Aviation Weather Center. Great follow there on social media from that part of the National Weather Service, by the way, the AWC. Tells you all about the turbulence and everything else. So I'm going to be watching this closely because Charlotte Douglas can be a headache on a good day. It's just the way it is. I'm not besmirching them. People know. And if you throw this severe weather in, that could be more of a challenge. I'm just trying to get home to Wilmington, and I'll be watching this closely. A lot of high precipitable water out there, so the flood threat could be there. You showed the shot there earlier of the shelf cloud at Rodanthe. It's that time of year. These fronts sag south slowly, Ari, and they set up for long duration. I say long duration. It's more than just your pop-up shower. It tends to linger for a few hours, and that was the case today. My son said they had some hail near Clayton, North Carolina. 'Tis the season.
It is, and I was mentioning earlier, it's like, you know, when you look at the future track on this, and of course the placement's not going to always be perfect here on the forecast model a couple of days out. I'm just trying to get the vibe of how things are going to shake out. It's not like you get a line of storms and it just moves through. It's like you have this boundary here, and it seems like toward the end of the storm system's journey across the United States, you tend to see this a lot, where you just get storms that ride along the boundary as it's slowly moving off toward the east, and that would cause training, correct?
Right, and what's causing that, of course, is the Bermuda High offshore kind of muscling against that thing. It's like people bumping into each other in a crowded restaurant or nightclub or whatever. You know, you got people rubbing shoulders. That front's trying to push down the big fat Bermuda High out there, flexing its muscle, and these things can move slow. Also, these fronts that drag off the coast, sometimes they can become focusing mechanisms for tropical mischief. That's mainly, it can be any time, but that really starts to become a factor August into September. So we'll be watching this kind of stuff as we go forward.
All right. Well, once you get home, maybe you'll get the drone up. I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to see some pretty nice storms up there. Mark, thanks for the time. I know you're on vacation, but as always, we appreciate having you on. And let me tell you something about Mark Sutton. If we lived closer, I feel like we would hang out.
ready for departure. Close traffic.
Exactly.
All right, Mark
We'll
Sutter.
move to Wellington.
Bayou 11,
Yeah,
altimeter
we'll
2983, left closed traffic approved.
Absolutely.
Clear for takeoff, runway 29er.
All right, guys, we're going to do more on
Clear
the
for takeoff, runway 29er, Bayou 11.
Back at 8 p.m. There are going to be some impacts. It's not going to be the worst storm that's ever hit the Gulf Coast, but we knew this was going to happen. Stick with us here on Fox Weather at Night. We've got a lot of info on that storm coming up all night.
Tower, Southwest 4902, ready for departure, runway 2, IFR to Austin, Southwest 4902. Clear for takeoff, runway 2, Southwest 4902.
Stratford, Wisconsin. Unbelievable. This is one of the most unique things I've ever seen. The storms themselves were so ridiculously not tall. They were like 30,000 feet at most, which is a very short storm in the vertical to be creating a tornado like that. And you can clearly see it was touching the ground there. Look at all the corn that's out there. We had dew points in like
Southwest 4902, contact Houston Center on 127.0. Good day.
As bad as it could have been. And there's a nice wind gust out of Prairie City, Iowa. Honestly, some of the most intense storms that we had throughout the day really were in Iowa. We also had some nasty ones up in the UC of Michigan. Look at that, though. That was while the sun was out, too. I'm Ari Sarsolari, by the way.
Southwest 4902, please acknowledge.
Sam is in the house as well. She's a little bit off the camera right now. Just got back from vacation.
127.0 for Southwest 4902.
Let me break down this video a little bit for you. This is really cool.
New Orleans Tower, Bayou 11.
So I press
Cancel
play on it.
landing intention.
Yeah, if you look closely, you can clearly see that it's touching the ground there.
Your cancellation is
Clear
received.
sky up there. It looks like a sunny day, and then there's just a tornado that's on the ground. Now, I've seen a couple of different angles of this floating around on social media where you're just seeing like the full profile of the storm from the side.
American 1472, exit runway when able.
Like it doesn't look like one of these huge thunderstorms that's going like 50,000 feet up into the air. It's a relatively short cloud, kind of a puffy cumulus, technically cumulonimbus, I suppose, because it, is technically a supercell, even though it was a very small one. And there were a couple of different storms like this in Wisconsin earlier that did produce some tornadoes. Look at these storm reports out here. Look at that, a bunch of reports of tornadoes. And I'm telling you, these popped up. Here was the situation. Let me go back a little bit in time. This was around like, 6, 7 o'clock or so during the afternoon. And at this point,
American
you can see
1472,
all
turn
the
next
storm
taxiway.
reports have been down here in Iowa. All the storm reports have been up here in the UP. And this was really supposed to be like the bullseye of where some of the worst storms were supposed to be here in central Wisconsin. So, as is often the case, they started saying the B word. Everybody started busting out the B word. That's a hint as far as what the B word is. It's bust. Busted forecast. Storm Prediction Center, oh man, we busted here. What happened? We're not going to get
American
tornadoes.
1472, contact
Obviously is a
ground
good
on
thing.
121
But I'm talking
decimal
from a storm chaser perspective because those are a lot of people that I follow on social media. These little puny storms here, you could clearly tell based on visible satellite, and let me pop this up here too, that they were not beefy thunderstorms.
for American 1472.
When they first started to pop up. It's when they first started to pop up in northwestern Wisconsin. And they're kind of what I call poof storms. I like to call them poof storms because they just kind of poof. A little measly anvil cloud out there to whatever direction the wind is blowing in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That's not what a big thunderstorm looks like on satellite. You want to see what a big thunderstorm looks like on satellite? These guys. This is normally what a thunderstorm looks like. And if you're going to see the type of storm that's producing like a long track violent tornado, this is the type of storm you would be looking for. I mean, I'm sure that's like a 55,000 foot tall storm, massive anvil cloud here. These were some of the storms that were happening in Iowa a little bit earlier. Compare that to these little guys. These are like the little engine that could. And they did. They did produce some tornadoes. So again, just picture looking at this from the side. So it's just like a